Hi everyone. In the last video, we looked at what cyberbullying is and touched on why and how it can occur. One of the main points that I made was that online bullying is often perceived to be less harmful than face-to-face bullying, but that's simply not true. Now, before I get into this lesson, I'd like you to pause this video and watch the other YouTube video that's linked in the Google Classroom assignment if you haven't done already. I've also added the link to the description below on YouTube so you can access it if you're not in Google Classroom. And then once you've watched the video, come back to this one and unpause and carry on the lesson. Okay, so in that video, the bullies and the targets are actors, but everyone else around them were real people that had no idea that it was all a setup. And all of the offensive and horrid things that were being said were actual things that people have posted and said to others online. That's a really powerful video that highlights how extreme and how nasty some people can be online. There's a question at the end that says, if this behavior is unacceptable in the real world, then why is it so normal online? Now, it's important to note that obviously the internet didn't create abusive behavior or discrimination or bullying, but a mixture of modern technology along with a historic lack of education about online safety and online behavior, combined with the open and somewhat anonymous and ungoverned nature of the internet, has really enabled and facilitated the growth of this horrid problem, almost to a point where it's considered to be an acceptable and normal part of the online world. Now, obviously, the part of the problem goes back to what I mentioned in the last video about how people sometimes feel more confident and more anonymous and are more likely to say whatever's in their head in the heat of the moment if they're behind a screen, because it becomes a shield. They become shielded from seeing the impacts of their behavior and any immediate consequences that their behavior would normally have in a real world situation. Many people also believe that freedom of speech gives them the right to say whatever they want, which of course isn't true. Now, there are actual laws that govern what you can and can't say, both online and offline. But online, for example, it's actually against the law to use the internet to cause alarm or distress. So what do you do if you or someone you know is being bullied online? The first important thing to do is address it as bullying. Many people are too quick to write off negative online behavior as just banter or just normal online behavior, but it's really important to call it out and to call it what it is. And once you've identified something as bullying, you can then start to deal with it instead of just ignoring it and hoping that it will just go away. Now, as with most things, the action you take will depend on the context of a situation. For example, if your friend says something mean online, then it might just be that they've gone too far with a joke, or they've just lashed out in the heat of a moment. In this sort of situation, it might just be enough to just be open and honest with them and tell them in a calm and polite way what that you think what they've said or what they've done is a bit mean. But in most cases, a polite conversation isn't necessarily going to make things better or make things go away. So it's important to know what other things you can do. So firstly, don't respond to bullies online in a negative way. Often the more reaction they get, the more likely they are to continue their behaviour. So instead, if it's serious, then tell a trusted adult, either at home or at school. Most social media apps and websites have a function that allow you to report negative behaviour. If you're not sure how to find them or how they work, again, ask a trusted adult or a tech-savvy friend, and hopefully they'll be able to help you out. If you feel that you can't talk to anyone you know about the problem you're having, you can contact Childline. Now, they offer a free online and a free over the phone support as well. And finally, if it's really serious, you can also report any sort of negative behaviour to the local police. But we recommend, before going to the police, always seek the advice of a trusted adult first. Now, as a school and as kind and caring individuals, it's all of our responsibility to also raise awareness and to have open discussions about online aggression and bullying, and to continue to educate each other and ourselves, so that we have a better understanding of the problem. It's also important that people start being a bit more proactive online when they see negative or aggressive communications online. This problem won't go away until everyone starts to understand the devastating impact that it can have on people, and that it's not acceptable behaviour. We need to change that that mindset of people thinking it's normal and acceptable, because it's not, and it only changes if people start reacting to it in a more positive way. One key way to pass that message on is to actually address any online aggression that you come across. So if you see a mean message online, you can simply reply to it with a reminder that being mean isn't cool, and that we should all try to be a bit more positive and accepting. Also, if someone else has been bullied, then show them that they're not alone. Send them nice, encouraging messages to remind them that there are nice, caring people out there, and remind them of the steps that they can take that could help them put a stop to bullying. If people continue to see this kind of behaviour and continue to choose to ignore it instead of trying to get involved, then obviously the problem's never going to go away. So remember that it's important to get involved, but also remember that your safety always needs to come first. Don't ever put yourself in harm's way. If you come across anything that you think needs more than a polite reminder to stop, then again, report it, talk to a trusted adult, or if it's really serious, go to the police, or take the steps that we've already discussed. Lastly, an important note about being proactive against it is there's lots of old sayings such as an eye for an eye or fight fire with fire, but sending aggressive or negative response to aggressive or negative messages online is never a solution. It just adds to the problem, and then you usually ends up with everyone bullying everyone, and that's never going to be a solution for anything. Yeah, okay, so in the next video I'll be talking about how not everything you see online is real or true. Fake news is a major problem right now, so that's going to be the discussion for the next video. In the meantime, if you have any questions or concerns about anything that I've covered, then please let me know, and remember to stay safe and be nice.